Well, howdy, nearly senior citizen here. Greetings, boys, girls, and all of our non-binary friends, and welcome to this brand new day with the fan on in the window and the window partially closed. Because yesterday was hot, and today I checked the forecast for the weather. We're going to be near 80, so joy. Fan on in the window, there's windows open out there. It's still cool now, cool enough that I need to put this on. I may even end up having to take it off as I'm talking and gesticulating because I heat up quickly, so we shall see. This room is so echoey. Yesterday I even went and reinstalled the USB 3.0 drivers. I bought a different USB hub, have changed the drivers, and it still does this. I have no ideas why. I didn't just buy it. I mean, I bought the USB hub a bit ago because I had a USB 2.0 hub. I needed a USB 3.0 hub, and it's still been doing this anyway. It's been the drivers changing I've been working on now, and ugh, so it'll keep doing that. But still, it is going to be warm today, but it's not so warm right now. Thumbs up for that. There is some stuff on my topics list over here. There's a lot. Some of it is very silly and hopefully going to be gone through quick. Some of it is going to be a bit more in-depth. But now that I've talked about the weather and the heat, when I talked yesterday about people like Ozzy Osbourne, he still wants to go out and tour, and the Rolling Stones going out and touring, that, don't get me wrong, they should still do that. It hasn't done this all morning, now it is. But they still go out, good Lord! I mean, it literally has not done that at all. I started recording. Now it's doing it. But I'm going to try and ignore that as best I can. It is great that people like Ozzy Osbourne and Rolling Stones and Rick Astley and all these people who made stuff, 40 years ago, that they are still out touring. I mean, don't get me wrong, that is awesome. If you can do stuff and people enjoy it, then do it. And people enjoy it, so do it. There's nothing wrong with that. At the same time, yeah, they are overshadowing new artists. Now, I talked about this, and it was mentioned in the comments. Music has changed. Music used to be much more lyrically, melodically, and all that sort of stuff. It used to be more complex back from the 60s up through almost to the 2000s. That is true. And one of the biggest reasons that's changed is not because of music, it's because of business. Lowest common denominator is what they shoot for. And lowest common denominator, it's a pyramid. There's lowest common denominator at the bottom that is huge. The next level up is a little bit smaller this way and this way, and it just keeps getting smaller. Well, these people up here are the people that enjoy really dense music that is complex, like they used to do, and more experimental, deep stuff. Not many people just want to pop that onto the stereo and listen to it as they're doing stuff. Now, I've gone and used ancient terminology, but use whatever sort of technology you wish. Whether it's earbuds with your phone playing something, or you got an actual turntable and you put on a record, whatever. Point being, it's the more complex stuff you have, the less you're just going to pop it on and listen. You're going to make time to listen. So that if you want to sell a lot of stuff, you keep bumping it down to the lowest common denominator. And so it gets dumbed down. But it also sells. So there's a financial reason to do that. It's not a conspiracy theory. They're not dumbing down music lyrically and, I can't remember the word. I am not a musician. But when you're using the instruments, when you're composing the actual music, when you're making it complex or simple, the more complex it is, the fewer people are going to buy it, listen to it. So you want to have the lowest common denominator to sell. So music today, good Lord, music today is more lowest common denominator, which means that there is actually a hunger for this other stuff that I have no ideas. Again, it has not done this all morning. I have started recording, which in no way is attached to the PS4. There is nothing for this thing to know that I'm recording. And it has done this so much. Not once before I started recording. After I finish recording, it's going to keep doing it, but not with this frequency. Thumbs up. So, with the more lowest common denominator music, and hunger for other things, because if this is all you're presented with, you're going to want other things. Just because one thing all the time gets dull. I have no ideas. You even hear how the frequency is changing. Nothing is touching the computer. Nothing. I have no connection with anything that I'm doing. It shouldn't be doing this. It doesn't do it at any other time with this frequency. Yes, it will do this, but like once an hour, once every 2 hours, once every 3 hours. It doesn't do this once every 10 seconds thing. I have no ideas. So, back to, so I understand there's going to be a hunger and a thirst for the old stuff. So the people that provide it aren't going to go away. And that's great. That's fine. There's nothing wrong with that, remember. Now, on to the other stuff. This is really stupid because this morning I saw a stupid meme thing of Tom Nook from Animal Crossing, the video game, and he's pointing at some slices of butter and he's going, I can't believe it's not butter. My brother in Christ, most of things in the world are not butter. So I started thinking about it because it's true. Most things in the world are not butter, which means there is a small but significant portion of the world, if you broke it down, that is butter. So there is a small but significant portion of butter in the world that is the world. Which is still stupid, but there you go. And this is a complaint because it's irritating. I remembered that I had the game Watch Dogs and Watch Dogs 2. I can't remember where I got Watch Dogs 1. Watch Dogs 2 was gifted to me. Here comes launcher hell, because I went looking for it on Steam. Nothing. Tried to remember where it might be. Went on GOG. Nothing. Okay. Went, okay, maybe another launcher. Loaded up the EA launcher. Nothing on EA. Then remembered, oh yeah, it's Ubisoft. So I had to load up the Ubisoft launcher. And there it was. So you shouldn't have to go through so many launchers. It's like with streaming movies, except thank God you don't have to pay for the launchers. So that's 4 launchers I have to go through, and I refuse to use the Epic launcher because they don't do anything with it to fix it and make it better. Screw that. So that's launcher hell. I have tried the game, 2013. My God, Jen was still alive. My wife Jen was still alive when that game came out. And I know I don't talk about my late wife much because it's just places that I don't want to go to feel sad about. I want to think about her on my terms at some points, not just randomly. So then other times I'll talk about her and I'll bring her up, but yeah, she was still alive. Checking the rest of my list. I have an external drive, which who knows, maybe it's, well, no, I was doing this well before I put in the external drive, so it's not that. And this is an external drive I had for that computer before it died, and it never did it. So it's not this. But it's supposed to be an SSD drive. And I was looking at it this morning to check to see, are there any vents that I would be covering up? You know, you still, even with an SSD, you don't want to overheat it. And the case is vibrating. Why would an SSD drive be vibrating? Do I have what's supposed to be an SSD drive, but it's really a physical drive that was mislabeled as a scam? Why would an SSD circuit board vibrate? I sort of want to open up the case, but I don't want to break it because it's got like almost a terabyte, well, half a terabyte of stuff on it that I got backed up. But the fact that it's vibrating is concerning. So let me check the rest of my list here. I've talked about, oh yes, here's one, pronouns in science fiction gaming. Some people like Mudahar, if you have ever watched Some Ordinary Gamers, chiming in on the whole pronouns controversy with Starfield and how other people have mentioned this, and it's true. Now, when some people like heel versus babyface says current day, that's actually another dog whistle, because trans stuff and such is not current day. It has been around all of human history. We have it documented. We have stuff documented from beginning of last century about trans people and the like. So it's not current day. So if we're in the year 3000, don't you think there would be maybe some gender confusion here? As in, things wouldn't be just black and white? John Varley, science fiction writer, I don't even know if he's still alive, last century, 70s and 80s, he had a universe where he had, the conceit of the series of just short stories, they weren't really connected, it was just a common setting, was that aliens had landed on Earth and kicked everyone off. We were still scattered out through the rest of the solar system. It's this I have no ideas, and I am so sorry. I mean, I am really sorry with that sound keeping going on and my equipment just not functioning properly. I have no ideas. But way back then, with them being kicked off, he posited even then that if I wanted to, as a guy, fully functionally male, I could go into a chop shop where they would just literally chop off parts and then cell weld other parts on, and I could walk out physically female. I would have all the functional parts, and I would have to engage in frisky business as a fully functioning female because I would be. So, middle of last century, he had the main character in these sort of things. They would just go in as one gender, come out as another, and they were. So this is not current day. And if it is science fiction, yeah, you should have stuff like genders being not just strictly A or B. It is a modality. Most people will tend towards the poles, but it is a probability curve around each pole. So they're just being accurate. And these people are just being whiny babies. Now, I was also thinking science fiction setting, because I think about a lot of these things, with the cryptid stuff, because I have also, taken my time, posited that 99 times out of 100 when our solar system recycles in my setting, that it's going to be human-centric, and everything is going to keep cryptids crushed down. They live like animals as their ancestors have for hundreds of thousands of years, and they're happy in that condition, but they have no choice. to be happy. So it's not a choice to be happy, it's imposed upon them. But at 1% of the time, it will be a cryptid-centric time, at which point, by the period when there would be Australopithecus on our planet, every single bit of carbon-based organic stuff would have been eaten by the cryptids, and normal matter, our planet would just be a cold, dead, sterile ball. But on the cryptid side, it would be rich and vibrant and living, just a jungle of full cryptid stuff. Now, I posit that since people can become cryptids, if your extra-universal genetics express that, I figure in a future starfaring setting with human beings that you would have a person whose third eye is about to open and expresses a cryptid, and they're part of the crew. They can't really express, but they just feel so claustrophobic on the ship, and they can't figure out why. There's no cryptid energy on it. Cryptid energy fills the Earth, but not on the ship. But he hasn't expressed yet, so it's just unpleasant. But when they find this place and start exploring it, it is obvious that there was civilized life here, but it's all gone, ruined, and just barely there. Just, if you examine the things, you can go, oh, this might have been something. This appears to be a room. Maybe there were things here. But the guy on the expedition is just like, oh my gosh. Because, yeah, it's just all ruined and broken on normal matter. But on the cryptid side, he's seeing the beautiful art, the amazing architecture, the machines that are ancient, falling apart, but still there. And everyone's just going, yeah, this is broken and dead. And he's just, what are you talking about? What? This is amazing. And then there's a generator. It is a solid state thing producing cryptid energy. He can breathe around it. And there's inside in stasis just these necklaces. Pop that on and they provide you with the cryptid energy you need to survive. Because he feels like he can breathe around this thing, he actually puts one of these on. Exposure. His genes finally fully express. After a little while, he's fully a cryptid on the place where nobody else is a cryptid. He's got the cryptid energy from the necklace he's wearing. He's been in a coma for a couple days. He wakes up and he's fine. But nobody can image his insides. And when he's doing certain things, he doesn't show up on video cameras because normal matter stuff doesn't pick up cryptid stuff. And so they're trying to figure out what's going on. He's not being held, but of course, he becomes a dark cryptid. And when he's feeling really, really bad, he ends up finding somebody that just smells so good and then eats them. And remember, cryptids are bigger on the inside than they are on the out, and they have terrifying digestive systems. So he eats them bodily, completely, fully, licks up the blood, and there's nothing left. He looks like he's 8 months pregnant, but they're gone. And he's just in absolute shock over this because it only takes about 6 hours to digest down a full human being to process through a cryptid's gut. It takes a full 18 or so hours to process and expel what's left of a person, but it doesn't take long. And so after about 6 hours, you can't even tell he ate anyone. So he's trying to figure this out, and he's got, well, murder to try and hide. And it's not going to stop with just one. So that was what was one of the things I was thinking of. Checking the rest of my list, what else do I have? Talking about real quick solo RPG stuff, even though I have none up there. I was watching a different video on various tools and games that this guy recommended on a top 100, his, top 10. Things like Far Against Darkness and D100 Dungeon were honorable mention, but not on the list. Now the thing is, of course, it depends on what you like to do. There are two types of solo RPG types, really. There's the crunchy and the non-crunchy. D100 Dungeon is exceptionally crunchy. It is like, and he came up with a good idea, a good analog, a good metaphor, there we are. D100 Dungeon, 4 Against Darkness and all that, yeah, they're role-playing light. Think of them more like the computer role-playing games of the Nintendo and Super Nintendo era. If your character dies, you just quickly make up another one and keep going. They're crunchy, especially D100 Dungeon. It's really crunchy. It gets down to you have to eat food, you have to sleep, you have to do these things, especially when you start doing the overland travel, but it's still exceptionally crunchy. Not a lot of role-playing, a lot of dice rolling and drawing, which is great. I love that. 4 Against Darkness, all those, they're like that as well. Then there's the other side. This is games like Ironsworn and the like, where it is more narrative driven. Your character is more of just almost an afterthought. The game's sacrifice, which is a little thing, you are branded. You are, you're level 3, and it's rules light. It's more situational, narrative driven. And they have those that go up to the point that most of it is journaling. And in fact, one of the channels, Geek Gamers, who's had a book published on solo RPG stuff, most of her gaming is just journaling driven. You wouldn't just roll the dice and play the game. You're writing and journaling everything out. So everything is not just narrative driven, but what your character is thinking about the situation as you journal it out. And then that helps drive the story. So you can go with just almost pure, there's no role playing, it's just dice rolling, to you're almost never rolling a die, it's almost all completely stuff being written out. So there's something for everybody. And I've got a lot of things on my list here that I haven't written about, talked about, but it's 21 minutes in. I would like to thank each and every one of my Patreon patrons. I don't have a way to put them up on camera or list anymore, but thank you, each and every one of you who has donated to my Patreon patronage. You are beautiful and awesome people that help to keep me and my aging pet alive and functioning. Thank you so much. Thank you to everybody who has donated to my PayPal, and thank you to everybody who has ever donated to my GoFundMe. There was another, well, it's probably a number of donations. I'm not sure. I haven't been able to check on the details. There was another donation to my GoFundMe that for right now, depending, because there are so many variables that I don't know about. If I get into the tiny housing, I should be good right now with the funds that I have. But that depends on A, B, C, D all falling into place properly. If I can't even get in there, then the amount of money I have is not even enough to keep me going for a while. If I get in here, it'll be great. But there's another option where there's a soldier's home place, and I live in Washington State, and a ways from here there's a larger city. There is a place that I might be able to stay. My sister and the people at the Veterans Village thing are working on that because nobody wants me to be homeless. So it's a dollar amount that I might be fine to I might be nowhere fine. But thank you, each and every one of you that has helped me out, because even if I'm in the not fine area, the fact that people have helped and brought me up to this amount, thank you. It is appreciated. It helps. And I'm going to go through and thank however many people have left me comments in the past 24 hours. It's never much anymore, but anything more than 0 is awesome. And if I mispronounce the username, no disrespect is intended. And even though I count in American Sign Language, I'm just stimming. No, it doesn't mean anything anymore. So we have Jesse Koskinen, who actually bought many finished punk albums, re-releases. I can't... It's decades old. They're not finished, but if you've ever heard of Violent Work of Art, back when there was like mp3.com, and a lot of places were people and groups were uploading their music there was a group called Violent Work of Art. And like I said, they're not finished, but you should maybe check them out. But that's cool that you got those records. And we have Cardinal Sin, Thumbs Up, and well, it's not talked about. It's not the fact that the artists are bad, as we have proof from indie groups that music can still be good. It's labels forcing artists to do and work in a certain range, or contract is broken and you're out. I mean, Pentatonics, as just an example, they were on TV. They won the contest. They got a record contract with Sony. And before they could get the record done, Sony decided their album isn't going to be profitable, and they broke the contract, so they had nothing. You either work within the limits of what they say you're going to make, or you don't make. It is the labels that are doing it, and that sucks. So we have Blue Toad, thumbs up, and hopefully I got explained my reasoning for that, because I think it's great that all these other people are still doing stuff. And yeah, I love stuff like Led Zeppelin. I listen to old stuff mainly because it was my youth, but also it is denser and much more lyrically complex than standard lowest common denominator. Yay. And then we have Mystic Raven, thumbs up, thank you much. Confused Owl. I mean, it could be the cat knocking some things down, but the cat wouldn't open up the refrigerator downstairs. The cat wouldn't leave other lights on that I remember turning off. The cat wouldn't have, I don't know where and how the pipe vanished, the other one. It's the weirdest thing. Sir Rosser, thumbs up, thank you. And oh my god, the Redneck Rampage soundtrack. This person talking about a video I did on reactions with the Redneck Rampage soundtrack. Look up the Redneck Rampage soundtrack with Mojo Nixon and all that. Oh my gosh, good stuff. Then we have RJ Mitchell, greatly appreciated. Hopefully it's just me being confused. I've had a lot less sleep of late. And when you have lost sleep, it is like being drunk. So I can easily do stuff and forget that I've done it. It's likely 99% just that. And then there is Stephen Blanchard. Yeah, I like physical instead of digital. It's a good thing. And then that is it. So, Itchy Nose, thank you, each and every one of you that left me comments. Get me out of my head, into the world, dealing with real people, and oh my god, it feels like I have a whole lot of cat hair up my nose. God's above. So thumbs up, thank you, get me out of my head, into the world, dealing with real people, and then so I can fixate on cat hair in my nose. Thumbs up for that. Well, yesterday I made the walk to the Veterans Village. I got there, we drove to the place, we got the UA done. They know, I know, everybody knows I'm not going to pass a cannabis thing. I smoked a pre-roll on the way there. But that's not what they're looking for. It is legal in Washington State. It's just federally illegal. So that's not what they're looking for. But again, 7-mile round trip, and my toes are doing great. My I gotta get an E-size shoe from the future on. Hopefully you know what I meant. Anyway, I'm gonna take it easy today. Hopefully you're gonna get done the things that you need to get done. That would be very, very cool. Definitely a thumbs up on that. So, until we meet again, you take care. Have a great day today. I will see you on the flip side, and that is indeed a very good thing. I'm 28 minutes in. I try to keep this closer to 20 than 30 minutes, but hokey smokes, as I've mentioned before, if I know you, once I start talking, it is hard to shut me up. I am a talker. Once I get to know you, like with my wife, I would roll out of bed, and before my brain started to work, my mouth started to run. And before it was running until I went to bed. Did not have to engage my brain. Thumbs up for that. Oh, well, turning this on though, putting my hand in a high contrast position. That's pretty high contrast. So, I will see you. You take care, and yeah.